this video, I show you how to use Twinmotion to create an urban scene that looks like it's been made completely out of wood on a laser cutting machine. Let's get into it. So we're going to start by modelling an urban scene. We're actually going to use a plugin I recently spoke about on our Instagram page. You'll see that in a sec. So, actually, you know what? Sorry. Let me do one block. Just making sure I'm getting the scale about right. We want a nice zoomed out city shot. Call that city block. And then we'll make it a good size so that there's no worries with any kind of horizon in the shot. Then we'll set that by 4 meters. Sorry, let's do 5 meters. And then we've got a road either side. And let's lift that up by a couple of 100 mil. And then we just want to, at random, just create some blocks. And for this plugin to work, you've got to do individual groups. It just takes a little sec setting it up, but then the payoff is well worth it. Just make sure these are all unglued as well. I hate that. Maybe I've just finessed it a little bit. Corner one. Let's make that a bit bigger. Okay, it'll look a little bit less repetitive when we've applied our little plugin. Let's then just at random, just in rows, just flip along the red. I think what we'll do is we'll pick our shot, and then I think if we just go somewhere like, you know, you can see that's what I mean by horizon line up there. So let's just zoom in a little bit. So that's quite nice. So we'll go animation, add scene. And then we can just hone in to something like that. Okay. Then what we want to do is bring a bit of focus. If I do update the scene. Make this block unique. And then we want to act like our project site is something like there. We'll just give that a very small plinth. And then what I've done is I've downloaded from 3D Warehouse, so shout out to the creator of this, 4x4 house by the main man, Mr. Ando. Just make sure the axis is spot on. And then I'll just copy these across. Something like that'll do us. All I'm trying to demonstrate here is we'll use this to pick out our project on an urban scale. And to be honest, we can probably get that a little bit tighter as well. Center it on the frame, maybe a little bit lifted like that. Now we're going to be using Twinmotion here, so we'll obviously reset the camera in Twinmotion, but this is just good to get a sense of where we need to be. We don't need half these little city blocks that we first thought. There we go. Spot on. Right, so then what we want to do is group that so we can deselect it. In here we then want to explode. And then just using a parallel view, so we're not selecting anything by accident. We then select all the buildings and go to Madges and hit transform all. And there we are, there's our little city scene, which I think is fantastic the way it does that. It also gives us two materials, top and body, and those materials we can utilize because we just want to create little shades of plywood for our kind of mock wooden model. Just for a little bit of cleanliness, just tidying up the line work. And we're just going to make very, very subtle differences between the plywood. I think any more than, say 5% difference, and I think it'll look a little bit obvious. Then for our Ando building, all we want to do is we want to have two materials, just the glass and a block colour that we can apply. A plywood material too. Okay, so with all that out the way, Let's hit save and jump into Twinmotion. So let's delete the ground plane first. We'll import it, we'll leave it as collapsed by material, that's what we're after, and we'll leave everything else as default. Then if you can't see where you are, just pull this little thing out here, select your SketchUp import and hit F, and then it gives you a location. Also using this little cog, you can select your preference on your navigation. Mine is obviously SketchUp, and if you hit a number, it gives you a speed at which your camera can move. So I like 4, or maybe 5, because we're on a bit of an urban level. Okay, let's keep it to 6 actually. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to go into our materials, wood, and then we want to use a plywood. Now, if you drag it from here, it's then an instance, so we want to actually drag it out from the main menu so we can adjust each one accordingly. So to do that, you can just use this scale to just darken the building off just ever so slightly. So double the scale. There we go, just gives you that little bit of variation. You could even apply a different material to your proposal. I think that works quite well. So something like that. And we do want to do a reflective glass, but not too much so. Let's just turn path tracer on, see what it's looking like. Okay, that'll do us. Let's then create an image, and we want to match this one as close as possible. Now, the thing that's glaringly obvious is the focal length. So you want to increase the focal length to suit. That might be a bit much. Let's do a 50mm lens there, I think that's quite nice. Something like that. Let's just go back and hit refresh so we've got that locked in. And we want to just see what it looks like in Path Tracer. That's looking nice. We want to then change it to a skylight. And then we want to pick studio lighting. That'll give us the impression that it's being photographed. I want something with a bit of shadow, nothing too soft. Let's go for that one. Oh, you've got to sign in. Just remembered me. We'll download that and we'll drag it over there. This is a great recent feature in Twinmotion. HDRIs. Look at the difference now. That does feel like it's got a bit of artificial lighting on it. Let's just jump back to that camera angle. Again, just testing it with the path tracer, because ultimately that's what we're using to render. You do need a decent graphics card, but it's well worth it. The textures are repeating too much for me, and we can get away with, let's just turn that off. We can get away with increasing the scale to an unrealistic size because we're not going for realism here. So I'm just going around and just setting it to 4. Let's go back into the image. So that's looking better. And a really nice effect that you can do is visual effects, filters, and then you can just add a little bit of line work to the edges. Now I prefer light, and what that does is it gives it a little, when you use a laser cutting machine and you use the like a wood, it scorches the edges. I think this little line effect just gives a little hint of that scorched effect. Just want to raise the camera angle a touch there. Right, now that's not a million miles away in terms of taking a still. I think that's actually looking really nice. Maybe just lighten off the proposal. Just so it's sitting a little bit more comfortable in its context. Something like that'll do. We do want it to stand out, but not like a sore thumb either. Okay, so I think that's looking good. We've got our edges, we've got our materials. I think that's got just got a nice level of reflection. While we're in path tracer, is there anything more we can do to just that's quite nice, but it's feeling less like a studio, isn't it? So that's better. That's what I was after. Okay, so then turn the path tracer off. One cool little feature about Twinmotion is the paths that you can create. So what I want to do is I'm going to start it over here so I can loop it round. I'm actually going to create a vehicle path and set the material to fit well with our plywood. texture. Sorry, just path, vehicle path. So what we want to do is we want it to pass in front of the scythe like that. And then we want it to pass in front of it like that. Right click to set it in place. Let's do 2 lanes. There we go. I know we're getting a little bit of clashing. I think if we drop the density, that might just look a bit more convincing. That's not too bad. And then in front of our building, let's just do a nice pedestrian route. I think that works quite well. Yeah, we want them walking. Okay. So if we go back to our shot now, I've got that kind of axo feel. We've got some vehicle movement, and we've got a pedestrian movement as well. Now, to bed these in, we want to go to our camera again, visual effects, and you want to hit clay render. You enable that and you turn everything off but the characters and the vehicles, and then you give them a colour that sits with the plywood. So you can see there when we apply the path tracer, it's not quite working. There we go, we're getting there. Something like that'll do, you get the point. So then we could render off an animation and it feels like it's made of wood, like burnt wood from a laser cutter, but it's just got that little bit of life to it. And I think this is a really nice technique to show off concepts and massing at both, you know, university level. This does feel a bit more, you know, appropriate to university level. However, planners really do like this, the sense of a physical model, and I think this is the next best thing. So this could be something that if you've got a fairly contentious scheme, maybe it's in a conservation area and you're just trying to set out your principles, this is an absolutely brilliant way of demonstrating that. Now, as a little bonus tip to take advantage of our moving people and vehicles, we want to go back to media, video, create. Then in our first frame, let's just rotate the lighting somewhere like there. Go back and hit refresh, and then we create a new keyframe, jump into that, and we move the lighting the other way, something like that, just for argument's sake. And then if we hit play, you'll see the lighting moving. That feels like a bit of a sun kind of time lapse, but then everything else isn't moving as quickly. I think that's quite a nice effect. So just a little bonus tip, a little bit of showboating if you need it. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one.